All right, Jeremy. I'm excited for what we've got in store because you will not believe what I was able to cook up with those little pieces of video you sent me, dude.
I can't wait. It was amazing.
I don't know that I have a fresh shit. I gotta figure out my fresh shit. I'm so busy today.
Brandon, he could use the one
I sent the group chat. You could just pull that in. I mean, you don't know much about it other than their Louis Vuitton sneaker boots or something.
Fashion's so stupid anymore.
I don't know what that's about.
Do you ever notice that none of the things that are on the runway in a fashion show ever make it to like normal people? Like you'll have a guy that's like completely in garbage bags and like wrapped in toilet paper, and it's never like at the Chanel store. Like you can't buy it at the Chanel store. So I don't even understand the purpose of fashion shows. Like, what is the actual reason for
it?
They're not bougie.
Maybe that's something we should try to get on the show, because maybe if we had somebody who's in the fashion industry, we could get the light shed upon us. In fact, a friend of mine's girlfriend,
I have a fresh shit. Okay, I'm gonna send you.
She's actually going to work for Kohl's in the fall. Maybe she could.
Brandon, look up. Well, we're live, so I don't want to ruin my fresh shit. So I'll text it to you.
Yeah. Just send it in that little private chat.
Look up. I'm just texting it to you because we have phones.
Hey, what's up, Joe? What's up, Richie?
Joe Sharmer, dude, the gem of a man. Joe, I was just bragging about how awesome you are.
Richie, you need to text me. We need to have you on one time. The show.
Richie,
so you should text me.
Richie, this guy right here. What's up, Richie? Hola.
You don't know Richie? He works for Espinosa.
Yeah. I did not. I probably met him at when they came. If he was working for them,
he worked for us for a little bit.
Yeah. Yep. He will always at heart be a down.
Oh shit, guys! We may have to bring back Shoot Your Shot. Holy shit!
Did you, Will? Because that's amazing. God. I did too.
That's kind of crazy that we have a listener who has written a poem especially for tonight. Will Marxis is threatening us. Promising us that he has a poem. Maybe we'll have to send him out the link at the end of the show.
Will Marxis's poem is going to be "Roses are red, violets are blue. I make way more money than you do."
and then wait. Then it's going to say or it's going to be "Roses are red, violets are blue. I'm Will Marxist. Fuck Whitey."
You know, there is a really great poem about Whitey on the Moon that was recently in an episode of that HBO show, Lovecraft Country, that maybe I could pull that up for Will. He would enjoy that, I think.
Ooh, look at this. Look at what I got.
Oh, my God. What is that?
This is an original.
Wait, we got to zoom in. We got to zoom in. People, what is this shit?
This is 2012. Miami Wynwood Cigar Factory cigar. It's where I met the love of my life, Robert Caldwell.
Oh, I feel really sad right now.
I met Jeremy like shortly after that. So this is a very important episode.
It is. We got a lot of special things.
I wonder if I should be smoking that same cigar.
Tony, Will says you were really close.
See, I called it. I gotta turn my gain down a little bit, I think.
Wait, Will, was I closer?
Sharmer says there was a man from Nantucket. I don't like how that one's going. Oh, Joe got coffee today. Look at that, Will Marxis. He got something from us. Check that out.
I sensed a pan.
That's some shit right there, huh?
I'm also using a Porsche design lighter, which was also briefly sold by Robert Caldwell.
I'm also wearing this shirt that was previously owned by
Wow. That
I'm not.
And what do you know? The Porsche lighter does not work.
Send it back. They'll replace it. Down and Back will replace it for you.
A lifetime guarantee on that. All right, guys, it's 8 o'clock. Let's get some. We got some fire shit tonight. Let's get it going.
1 shot, 2 shots, 3 shots, 4 shots, 5 shots.
Hello, everybody. What?
Something in my eye.
What'd you get in your eye?
I don't know. I got a sty in this one, and this one just started like I'm all sorts of messed up.
Have you been around poop?
Yeah, I wipe my butt and then rub it in my eyes. That's exactly what I do.
So welcome to 4 Shots, the show about poop and other things related.
Well, we let Stank Magazine have an impact on us.
Well, and, I agree. I still think that to this day, I'm like, whatever we do on this show is not as bad as Stank Magazine. So
I think I could have gotten the front cover if I wiped poo in my eyes.
Correct. I just got an email. I'm still paying for Zoom. I should probably not pay for Zoom anymore. Welcome to 4 Shots, another week. Thank you all for listening to us during season 2. Brandon, I think, is this going to be our last one for season 2? Is that what we decided?
Or are we doing one more? I think we were doing one more.
One more. Okay.
Yeah.
One more. So we're going to conclude to take a break because we have some really cool stuff coming for the 3rd season of 4 Shots with myself, Tony Bellato, and my good friend Jeremy. We have a Patreon coming with some really cool stuff in it. We just got to get it all organized. It's going to take us a couple weeks to do that. But I think we think you guys are really going to love it. And regardless of what Will Marxus says, it will get sent out to you when we say it will. But also don't be afraid to share us and like us on your favorite podcast listening platform. We're live on Facebook. You can also catch us live on YouTube and Twitch. I believe we have 1 follower. You can also catch us day after on Spotify, Apple, or anywhere, Podbean, anywhere you like to listen to your podcast. And we really do appreciate you guys sharing it while we're live. It's a very important thing to keep us going. We try to get this to you every week as we can. With that being said, let's do a shot, and then
what are you drinking tonight?
I'm drinking Tito's again. I actually had a sponsored vodka, and 1-star reviews only and unsubscribe.
Yeah.
No, but I had a sponsor, like a guy that wanted me to sponsor his vodka tonight, but he gave it to me 3 days ago and I drank it all. So I'm gonna have to ask for another. I'm gonna have to buy another bottle and do it another week. So
I'm doing Pikesville. I love their. It's a good rye. This isn't normally what I would shoot because it's what it's 110 proof. So we're just gonna go for it.
You're having a good night. You're gonna have a good night.
It was the first bottle when I was like, okay, just grab one. We're doing it tonight, like out of the garage. And so fuck it. Let's do it.
Fuck it. Cheers.
Shot number 1.
Salute, my friends.
Work on a newspaper is people working as a team. At the copy desk, the editor selects the news and photos for an issue and plans the estimated space on a miniature newspaper page, sometimes called a dummy.
Brandon, you're jumping the gun again. You got to give Jeremy time to introduce the the segment.
I got excited. I got excited.
You're excited about today.
I am, man.
Have something that's special to you today. So
I do.
I don't know if this is a good idea to be shooting this.
do you want to change it? Do you want to switch it up?
I'm going to text my daughter to come in here and give me a different bottle because I think that I sip on that, and shooting that is like, whoa, okay, here we go. So yeah.
And don't forget, and everybody don't forget, Jeremy is on Pacific Standard Time. So he gets drunk before dinner with us every Tuesday. And there's been quite a lot of stories of him with dinner that have been amusing. But I also switched. So I switched from that Porsche design bullshit that Rob used to sell to my Line 2 DuPont.
Oh, hey.
Listen to that. Listen to this.
Parenting at its finest, or worse, whichever depends on who you ask.
Well, guys, I know I jumped the gun. I'm excited. I have a lot of adrenaline tonight because a friend of mine is the guest. Normally, it's people that are all connected to you guys in the industry. But tonight, I'm excited. We got somebody that I'm connected to over in my corner of the universe. And I got a little excited. But we'll get into the worst of the week here. So we need everybody.
What is worst of the week?
Worst of the week. Thank you, Tony. You're always keeping me level like that. Worst of the week is a segment where we pick.
Producer does.
I know 4 stories from the news or things that have gone viral that are either horrible, disgusting, weird, strange, kind of baffling. What was that?
Set my smoke alarm off. This is a 4 shots.
I just had to mute Tony because his smoke alarm. I didn't know Tony. Amazing. I didn't know Tony had smoke alarms in his house. That seems kind of dumb.
I would have thought that he would have like pulled them all out. I hope he falls because it's a broken chair. I'm surprised he didn't need a ladder.
Oh shit! That's a deep cut, Jeremy. Well, so I'm gonna read 4 stories from the news that are weird or crazy or wild, and we're gonna try to determine who had the worst week. We're gonna start. I shared this one earlier during the week because it was so like just shameless. I thought this has to be a front runner. Here we have from the AP. Sheriff reports that naked Florida man stole and crashed a police car. A naked Florida man stole what news footage showed to be a marked police vehicle and crashed it in a wooded area. Joshua Schenker, 22, was arrested after Thursday's crash on charges including theft of motor vehicle, aggravated battery on a law enforcement officer, depriving an officer of means of communication or protection, and resisting an officer without violence, according to Jacksonville. God, you got to love Jacksonville. I'm from Florida. And Jacksonville is just really doing a strong representation right here, guys. What do you think of our Florida man?
I have to unmute myself. Okay. So have you seen the story of the 2 girls in Youngstown? Ooh, new bottle.
No, yeah. That's what daughters
are for.
Give me my beer?
That's the purpose, right?
Yeah.
So you saw the story about the 2 girls that in Youngstown that managed. One of them crawled through like the security divider of the police car in Camel, and then stole it with her friend handcuffed in the back. And they drove it like 10 miles and got out of the car. And they were fugitives for like 4 days. But as it turns out, like that's stupid because they already had her license and they just went to her house and picked her up. But I feel like Ohio woman and Florida man should get together. So
Tim in the chat says this is normal Florida man debauchery. Next, he's not impressed. This is kind of weak sauce. He's saying. So let's go to story number 2. We have here. I found this story on Twitter from Daniel Aronson. A mom whose son is growing too old for cuddles has come up with a unique solution. When her son stopped wanting to cuddle, she knitted a life-sized version of him. Now she can cuddle his yarn doppelganger as much as she likes. And I don't know if you guys are ready for what you're about to see. Oh, yeah, here we are. Oh, yeah. This is mom's life-size knit version of her son, and it might be a qualifier for a cursed image. You guys, I like the one.
Those who are listening later on, just Google this story because you have to see this.
Oh my god, this is so fucked. Listen, when the editor-in-chief of Stank Magazine says it is fucked, you know it is fucked.
Right? Do we need to go any further? Because that's
pretty bad. And for him to have the Punk's Not Dead thing. But my question is to Tim is if he ended up, if you guys aren't subscribed to Stank Magazine or not looking at the podcast that they do.
Wait, Tony, hold that thought. Hold that thought. We're going to get to that. I like the quote, though, from the mother here. She says she wants to help other moms by saying, we thought it would be a great idea for mothers with too much love for their children and need to cuddle, so they would knit their own cuddly pillow son.
You know what guys call that? A fleshlight.
I don't. This is like an emotional fleshlight. This is for emotional masturbatory behaviors. That's a strong contender, guys. I feel really like we have something going on here. Now,
that's fucked up. I think that's fucked up.
Now, what I want to know if Jared, you're out there. Hey, what's up, Jared? You were on the show last week, and we talked a lot about Ana de Armas and a cardboard cutout. What's your take on knit people? Is knit people too far? If you had a knit version of Ana de Armas, would that be crossing the line, you think?
I think if it had a hole, Jared would be okay with it.
That's so wrong. Well, let's go. Speaking of a man who just can't get
anything can have a hole if you just cut a hole in it.
Right. This guy's this is true. But this week, Larry King passed away. You might have seen it in the news. But what I found, Jared says he supports it fully. So we know where Jared stands on knit and Ana de Armas. But Larry King, he passed away. And when I was reading his obituary, I found a link to another story to find out that Larry King was a motherfucking baller. He had 7 wives. Did you guys know that Larry King had 7?
Wait a minute. Wait. Why were you reading Larry King's obituary?
I was curious.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. That's all.
Wait. So 7 over his lifespan.
Yes.
He wasn't a polygamist.
No, he was not a polygamist. I'm sorry. I should have specified. But going back.
That's way less cool. Because if he had 7 wives, that would
they're also strikingly good looking, and Larry King was not a very good looking man.
I put this as worst of the week, kind of as a strange curveball because he's.
I think this is coolest of the week.
I mean, he did die though. You know, he's dead. That's kind of a bad week.
Yeah, but he went out strong. 7 wives.
Yeah,
cigarette in hand.
Yeah, cigarette in hand. What I think is funny, this woman, he was a Playboy bunny. He was married to her twice, and I know a little something about that. I mean.
That's not worst of the week at all. That's best. Of the week.
So this was a bad choice. I should have replaced this with the video of Chuck Schumer saying erection on the Senate floor. That was a lot funnier. But so that
at least something on the Senate floor got attention.
Oh, there we go. So okay, we'll go to our last one, and yes, this has a cross promotional slant to it. Joe Exotic did not get a pardon from President Trump. He was expecting it. A limousine waited 14 hours outside of his prison or where he's being held, and it didn't come. And when asked why he didn't think he got it, this is a quote from Joe Exotic. He said, "I'm too innocent and too gay." And that's why he didn't get picked. That's why he believes that former President Trump did not give him the pardon. And I put him here because I felt pity for Mr. Exotic.
Well, first of all, it has nothing to do. Being gay or not, he tried to kill somebody. Okay, so let's talk about that. I think that trying to kill somebody means you're probably going to get out of jail and do it again. But he did pardon Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
On a weapons charge.
Yes, that's true.
And a drug charge. So I'm not sure where the thinking is. Maybe Lil Wayne, Donald Trump album.
No, that would
be a guest spot. Yeah. He'll be on the new Apprentice. It was to guarantee Lil Wayne that since he's fading out, of the limelight, like, bro, I got you my next spot. I will not fire you.
Right, that's a possibility. But there's something else to this story, and a reason I included, not just because Mr. Exotic here is having one of the worst weeks, but also because our friends over at Stank Magazine, Tim Ferriss, he's the editor-in-chief. He's uncomfortable right now. They booked Joe Exotic for an interview, which they conducted yesterday. And I'm here to tell you, if you want to read the interview that Stank Magazine has with Joe Exotic, you're going to have to subscribe to them right now. You have to go to stankmagazine.com and subscribe if you want to hear what Joe Exotic had to say.
By the way, we're not being paid. We're not being paid for that.
They're just our friends.
Yeah, we don't get paid. We don't actually get paid anything at all. Ever.
No, ever.
I'm living on the $600 stimulus check.
Nice. Well, guys, so what are we going to choose for our worst of the week? I have a strong feeling about where we're going to go. We had Naked Florida Man. We had the Knit Son. Larry King died. That kind of sucked. And Joe Exotic did not get his pardon. Who was the worst of the week?
Jeremy?
I'm definitely my favorite story is the Florida one, but it's like another Tuesday in Florida for that to happen.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going with worst the worst, the doppelganger. Like that just to me is like the creepiest. Like let's just do a whole series of horror movies and freakishly over-attached mothers that want a cuddly of their child. Like that to me, by the way, I want to buy one of myself and give it to my mom because like it'll be so messed up. And maybe for Christmas, I'll send each one of you, since I couldn't be there on New Year's, I'll give you my knitted doppelganger. Like
Brandon, you should call this lady and see what the hell's going on. But secondly, like if I went over to my parents' house tomorrow and saw that, I would be like, what the fuck is going on?
I'd be like, I'm not coming over here anymore until you burn that thing.
You're like burning an effigy?
Yeah, I would like, I don't know what I would. I'd be like, Mom, are you out of your fucking mind? Like what is going on here?
I looked to see if the son had come forward, if somebody had reached out to him, but as it appears right now, I could not find any response from said.
Of course, he probably closed down all of his social medias. He's probably like on Mars.
Oh my god!
Or in Ohio.
hiding.
Or he's in Ohio hiding somewhere. I like that.
Jeremy, let's do a shot.
Mm-hmm.
Shot number 2.
Brandon, you could do a shot with us.
I made a very large gin and tonic, so I'll have some of this.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay, worst of the week. That knit thing is really fucking creepy. But I think as a joke, I would get one made for somebody. Maybe I'll get Eloise made for you.
Oh, can you imagine like you're dating a girl and for Valentine's Day you get her a doppelganger of yourself, so when you're out on the road she can cuddle with it?
That's an amazing idea. You've seen that like arm pillow thing that people buy? Yes, Jared. I will. I am going to buy Gino a crocheted me and see what he thinks about it. Because I think he'll. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so we're in agreement on the worst of the week.
Yeah, that was definitely. I mean, Larry King died, but like, of course he did. Like he was, like that's how you live your entire life, right? So you live your life, and like Larry King lived his, and then that's it, and you're good to go. That's life, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. That being said, Jeremy, you want to introduce our guest, and we'll get into our fresh shit.
Yeah, so today, my friends, we have a new friend, Brandon, colleague of Brandon's, or if you want to put it that way. We're bringing on Matt Mitchell, who authored, who writes and has just published, or it's about to come out, right? Like, well, it's about to come
we'll
out.
Find out.
You can pre-order his new book of poetry, and we're bringing him on to have a discussion and talk life.
And we don't know anything about poetry, so it's gonna be a cool interview, I think.
Well, I know about poetry. Don't put me in your box.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Welcome to the show, Matt.
What's up, man?
You know,
So-
I'm in the dark on my couch.
That's a good place to be. Hopefully you're not
Mhm.
setting off any fire alarms.
Not tonight.
So at this point in the show, we have a segment called Fresh Shit. And in this segment, we talk about something cool that's happened to you this past week or this past month or something, you know, and it could be your book, but something that's made a positive impact or something you thought was pretty cool. Brandon's going to play a little segment, and then Jeremy and I, and you're more than welcome to as well. We're going to do a shot, and then we're going to talk about that. So that's the Fresh Shit segment. Brandon, hit it.
That is one big pile of shit.
I don't feel so good.
The mother rhino is giving birth.
Its wrapper is a piece of the original U.S. Constitution.
Coming out of me like lava.
At the rate you're carrying on, that's a small fortune going up in smoke.
Well, I like smoking.
Well, you're really doing it, aren't you? You're just shitting in the street.
So
It never gets old.
tell Matt about that last drawing.
So
We were talking about Wheeze earlier.
Yeah. So my 7-year-old decided to draw a picture of a man pooping in the forest, which is me, supposedly. And she drew it for me. And I was like, this is just so random. I don't know if Brandon can pull just the picture up so you can like actually really see what it is. But it's like we had to throw it into the segment because there was no context when she gave it to me. It was just like, hey, I drew this picture. And I'm like, amazing. You know, the minds of our young, the future generation. And like, so that last picture is a drawing that is now forever embedded into the 12 people that watch the show. They get to see it every week.
I love it.
So, Matt, do you have anything on your mind about the freshest shit you've experienced this week? If not, we can go to Jeremy. But if you do, go for it.
I'm not finished yet, but I have been binging Blown Away on Netflix. It's that glass blowing show, like a reality show, and I have no clue about glass blowing. Even when they'll explain everything that's going on, and I'm like, I don't fucking know what's going on. Just show me the end product, and it's addicting. I don't know why.
What's it called?
It's called Blown Away.
Blown Away.
It'd be rad if it was just called like I Blow You, and it was but it's the same show. Or like The Blow Job, right? Like
yeah, like the Italian Job with the blow job.
I absolutely love glass blowing. Like I love watching it. It's one of the coolest. Like I'm gonna absolutely see this show now because I've been fascinated for 20 years about people that do like glass blowing. So
I also think it's like a lost art. I think, you know, if nobody ever really thinks about glass blowing and like what it takes to like make like a lot of shit that people have laying around.
A vase.
Like, and the same, the other thing that it blows my mind is the people that make neon signs. Same thing. It's like it's like a hand bent piece of glass that they put this gas through. But the glass blowing in general to me is kind of mind blowing how they do it.
They really lean into the blowjob jokes too. It's great.
Oh, they do on the show?
Yeah, like whoever wins the weekly competition gets like best in blow. And it's like they know
that's awesome.
Why are you showing us Truly ads, Brandon?
Yeah, did they pay you or something without us knowing?
I'm like, don't endorse them. They didn't endorse us.
Well, if they paid us and Brandon's stealing all the money.
Maybe.
Which I hope so.
I guess we're watching the show.
I get. Okay. Thanks, Brandon.
It's a review now of the first episode.
Right.
1 star. Unsubscribe.
Well, Tony, what's yours?
So my fresh shit for the week is I found it's like an hour away from me. I found this Airbnb in Hocking Hills, Ohio. And I don't know where Brandon is on the video, but this place is incredible. It's like $800 a night, but it sleeps 18 people. And it also has there's a stream that has a waterfall that comes to a pool in the backyard, and that itself is heated. There's also like a
waterfall.
Yeah, no shit. Like you can jump off the waterfall. So I'm thinking we should have our sales meeting here, Jeremy, by the way. And by our sales meeting, like our sales meetings aren't really sales meetings. It's just a bunch of dudes hanging out, smoking cigars, talking about nothing. But there's a heated waterfall and like a pool. I don't know where it is. Keep going. Kitchen's dope. Microwave. That's important.
Got to have a microwave.
Ohio Till I Die. Game room. There's a NBA Jam in there. Here's the Waterfall Room. I think it overlooks. Maybe this can be like the 4th tier Patreon. Like we spend a week at the cliffs at Hocking Hills. Where is the waterfall, Brandon?
Oh,
okay. Here we go.
You think
fire pit, dope. Coffee in the morning, selling to women. Here it is.
Oh,
there's the waterfall.
Okay.
Brandon, stop. So look at that. Look at this bottom right picture. Look at that thing. That's awesome. That's the deck. And you jump right off of that into a heated, like spring water creek thing. And it's $899 a night for 18 people. And it's not like one of those fake Airbnbs where they tell you it sleeps 18, because I looked into it because I was upset about it, because I'm like, don't fuck with me on this, because Jeremy, you and I have been to plenty of Airbnbs that say it sleeps 25 and there's 2 bedrooms.
Right.
This
and
has
there's a ton of cots on the ground. Right.
No, this literally has so there's going to be multiple people to sleep in one room, but they're all twin beds. So there's like 10 twin beds in one room. So it's like a perfect kind of buddy getaway. It's not like 9 couples. It's like 18 people that want to get party all week.
You know, it'd be super baller if you like rented it for only yourself for a weekend getaway and then invited one friend over.
Yeah.
Would you like to see it sleeps? Which bed would you like? I have 32 to choose from. In fact, if you want to move every hour on the hour from a different bed to a different bed, you're more than welcome to.
It's perfectly acceptable. So, Jeremy, fresh shit. What do you got?
Okay, so I have something that could have been easily the worst of the week as far as a story that's attached to it. But when I read what the actual item was, I was like, oh my gosh, talk about fresh shit.
Well, Mark says there's no way you got a stimulus check. Proceed.
He got 2 of them.
Yeah.
No, he did. They sent him 2. So there's an item. The only reason I didn't send this to Brandon is because we don't need to put these pictures up there. But there is an item called the Cellmate, and it is a chastity belt for men. So for like dominatrix type of like submissive thing, and it basically puts your junk in a contraption so you can't get aroused. Like it literally locks it in.
I've actually seen that before.
And I was like, wait, what? This is fascinating. Like, what would you? And so I was reading about it. The story, what's amazing is it's through Bluetooth, right? So your partner can release it, like, so you can take it off, or leaves it locked while you're away. What's crazy is it got hijacked by a company, and so no one could take theirs off. That was what I was thinking about, why for the worst of the week is because this company got hijacked and no one could remove except for physically having to unscrew and break off the actual contraptions, could get them off for a few days because they were hijacked. And it's like on so many levels, that has to be one of the funniest things. Like some hackers are like, let's hack those. Like it does nothing.
Yeah, people were worried about people hacking the pacemakers, but hackers don't care about that. They want to like get into the dirty.
Right.
Like The dirty bit.
So look, this is what the contraption looks like. So you can see how that's where your goes in. But anything else beyond that, they have quite a few pictures on their website of showing it in action, and it's a super bizarre thing. But I was just like, dude, there's something for everything. I didn't know this existed, and it's just like absolutely just blew my mind that, hey, I guess I can still be surprised in life. That there's a contraption that if you want, when your lover's out of town, you can make sure that they do not. They aren't messing around on you. Just put a chastity belt on them. Can you imagine we're out on the road and our ladies are like, we have these contraptions on us and we're like in a cigar shop. We're like, what is that? Just making sure. I mean, that was my fresh shit because I'm shocked. Maybe we
should also ask them for a sponsorship.
I don't want that. I don't want that. Because I actually think that would be very painful if you end up getting aroused while you're in that thing, because there's no way where for you to go.
Let's do a shot in honor of all these sad men that have bought these things.
And for the men that got trapped in them while it was hijacked.
It's their own fault.
Okay. True. If you're going to put that thing on.
Shot number 3.
Look at that shaved chest I had. I don't know why I shaved my chest that day. I haven't since. Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay. So
that is so much more tolerable than the first. Not a good idea. Ugh.
Let's get into Matt's brain. What do you think?
Yeah, man. I'm in. Let's do it.
So, Matt, we read some of your poems. We didn't have a chance to read them all yet. I'm excited too, and they're very, very incredible. But
thank you.
When did you decide you were going to do it? When did you when was that spark of inspiration for you to start writing down your thoughts and turning them into poetry and prose and that kind of thing? When did you have that kind of spark? What's your story basically?
So I think I was 17, probably like a senior in high school. Yeah, it was senior year, because my junior year I wrote an essay about The Great Gatsby, and I got a really good grade on it. And I was like, maybe I can write. And so then me and some buddies, we petitioned the school to bring back an old creative writing class that had been sort of discontinued. No one wanted to take it, so they were like, well, we're not going to offer it anymore. But we got them to bring it back, and the teacher I had there was great, and kept going throughout the year, realizing maybe I have a knack for this. And then here I am with a creative writing degree.
So you're from Warren? Yeah.
I'm from Southington, which is Warren's redneck cousin. So
well, I live in my house is, I live in Champion now. I'm from Canfield originally, but I live in Champion now. So that was something that they took away from. What's the high school in Southington now? Is it Southeast?
Chalker.
Okay. Yeah. So they took away a creative writing class in your school and you brought it back. That's dope as fuck, in my opinion. And for me, in our industry, it's kind of similar in that we're creating a product, but it's a very long road to turn a profit. And it's very difficult to explain to friends and family. Yeah, I am already feeling it. I drank before the show today. So it's very difficult for us to explain to our friends and family what we do. Are you experiencing the same thing?
Yes and no. I think in terms of how supportive everyone is, it's kind of it's down the middle. So my mom's always been cool. She's a teacher. She's always been chill about it. She's like, do what you want. It took my dad a little bit longer. I mean, he spent his whole life working like 9 to 5 plant or auto shop jobs. So coming around to the idea that his kid was going to go to college for writing maybe wasn't the coolest thing at first. But once he saw me like getting published and seeing what I could really do with it, he started becoming more proud, and he's been really supportive about it. But I'm really like only surrounded by writers and artists now because I'm in a city. So I don't really, my everyday life, I don't encounter a lot of people who don't understand or don't know why I'm doing it because there's really no money in it. But my hometown, a lot of people who think it's terrible. So really questioning my career path.
You know what? If you're not having it questioned, I think then you're in the wrong field. You know what I mean? Like life is too short to be like, look, you can go the stereotypical route, right? And you can get a job, work the 9 to 5, get your promotion, come home. But it, like, for some people that works, right? But I'm not going to say others are not creative, but I'll just, for sake of the argument, use creative types, whether that's musician, music, writers, painters, all of the above, right? Like, it's easy to look on the outside and go, well, how do you monetize that? Like, how do you actually make, like, it's one, you know, like, how do you make a living out of that? And the same thing could be said about the industry we're in. Like, we sell rolled leaves. You know what I mean? Like and it gets looked at like, yeah, but is that an industry? And it's like, it may not be the pharmaceuticals. Like if you're a salesman, you're not getting rich off of it, but it's a unique industry, and it's driven by passion more so than product. Right. And like, obviously everyone, I think, goes through a period of time in their life where they write, or most people do, right? I write, whether they do a journal or they write poetry. And like, I used to be heavy into writing poetry, but I got more into like I play music, I write songs. So it's poetry, but it's just, I shifted it in its format to like work, you know, like where if I was to write poetry, I might not write with a rhyme scheme attached or something like that. But in songs, like, you want to hear it a particular way because you have to think about how it's heard. So you kind of have to change your lingo and the way you write because it's going to be heard audibly, like over music. So it's hard to use 10-letter words and make it work in a song and make it memorable, right? So it's a different thing. But people have always been like, you know, there's no money in here. Why are you 41 and still play music? And it's like, because if I don't play music, what else am I supposed to do? And even if I don't make any money off of it, it's irrelevant to me because like I get to do something that makes me happy. But even cooler that like, I think, and ballsier that like you're going for the gusto, like, no, this is what I'm going to do. Because it's when you talk about poets, when you talk about writers, like, we can all list writers off the top of our head, but a lot more people can name more sports players and people that have done a lot less for society, you know, than writers and such like that, as far as the perception of the world. Like they're remembered more. It's not the celebrity status, so to speak. Yeah. It's a niche industry, so to speak. But like, I mean, I love, like, you know, what's cool is Brandon sent us, you know, to promote your book, and he sent us a couple poems that he felt best described kind of the theme or the overarching theme of the book. And I read them and I was like, oh, I dig this guy's, like, I dig his style of writing. And what's interesting is you hear that it's like, you interpret things, right, from your own perception. So I read it and I might read something very different from what you intended it to be, because like that's art, right? There may be a specific angle, unless you're very blatant and you say like X, Y, and Z. People don't necessarily get X, Y, and Z. They get whatever they feel it's about, you know, which is kind of the beauty of art. What was super cool is, you know, getting what I got from one of your poems, and then having a conversation with Brandon, hearing a little bit about where you came from and like struggles or just things you've dealt with in life. And it completely changed my perception of the poems. And like, like almost like there's an urgency attached, or like a, not a desperate, but it's hard to use the right word, but like they took on a new life for me. And I was like, man, that's so freaking cool. Like, you know, sometimes it's very cool to know like backstory, but at the same time, it still meant something to me without knowing like backstory to you, you know? And I think that that's super cool because this is a question to you. Like, I find when I write, I tend to write with the glorified version of myself I want to be. Like, if it's my thought to the extreme, and it's not necessarily me in my day-to-day, but they are my thoughts. They are my true feelings. They are how I think. But most of the time, I don't really get to share those types of in-depth, you know, or aspects of myself. But when I write, I can make it whatever the hell I want it to be, you know, and I get to like showcase, well, if you really want to know how I think, this is the extreme version of how I think. Like, it's like a larger than life, because there's no rules. Like, you're writing, you can make a character, you can make.
It's also the stuff you like when you write. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just had a thought. Like, it's also when you write music or poetry, which I don't do, but in my like view of it, when I read it or experience it, it's also the things that you can say those things in poetry or song that you can't necessarily say when you're sitting next to somebody.
Right.
Like if you were sitting next to somebody and you were like, I've had all these issues and I've had all this fucked up stuff happen, then they're going to kind of be like, ooh, whoa, that's weird. But if you're like, hey, like, check this out, or check out this song, or read this book, like it kind of eases the normal people into kind of being okay with the things that you have to say in your head. You know what I mean?
Right. And and if I was gonna, I guess I was going super around the block to get next door. But my question is like, when you write, like, what is the angle? Like, what is like what you're wanting to get out there? Is it, you know, just certain themes, or is there a specific, like, you know, like what drives you in what drove you for this book? Like, this is like, because let's talk about the book. So what drove you to that?
Representation, first and foremost. For anyone who's listening or watching, I am an intersex man, and there is no major market poetry book written by someone who is out and intersex. So this book is kind of a leap in being represented. I feel like it's a part of the queer spectrum that has no life in writing yet, except from a medical standpoint. Like, there are books written about just LGBTQ stuff, and they will talk about intersex identity a little bit, but there's no real popular poetry. I don't like using the word popular because no poetry is truly popular, but the stuff that's being circulated on social media and everything like that, none of it is touching on that. So it was more of a goal to not just like tell my story, but maybe give a little bit of a voice to a community that doesn't yet have one.
Well, Matt, if you wouldn't mind, could you, for the people that are listening, could you kind of describe what an intersex person is, if that's not too touchy? I don't want to like dig too deep, but like, I think that it's important to everybody to know what that is, and to know how that works with your poetry and stuff like that.
Right. Well, I've been doing a few interviews already on the book, and no one has asked yet. And I've been hoping someone would ask because I think that there's a little bit of mystery around that. But it's a spectrum. I mean, the most common understanding of being intersex is that someone is a hermaphrodite, but it's a spectrum more than that. I'm not a hermaphrodite. My problem is that I have XX chromosomes rather than XY, which means that my chromosomes, technically, if you looked at them without knowing who I am and you look at them, they read off that my birth sex is female, but I have a penis, like I have a dick. So like, you know, so it's like it's a really confusing thing. And so when you're like when you're a 20-year-old person and someone tells you that, it's kind of like a little earth shattering because you've lived your life completely as something. And then someone's like, well, deep down, it's not really all that, you know? So that's, and it can be anything. It's majority of cases are chromosomal. And a lot of cases actually are surgically altered at birth. Usually if someone is born a hermaphrodite, the doctors will consult the parents about really just choosing a way to go. And it's it's up to the parents, which is kind of its own controversy.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy to me that it's like you have to decide what
Right.
your child's going to be for the rest of its life. I don't know.
Yeah. And so I know like a lot of discussion going on in the intersex community is how many trans people are actually intersex people from birth who were born maybe hermaphrodite and their parents kind of made the wrong decision on that. So there's a lot of questions with that, but I mean, it's a long spectrum, and a lot of people should know about it.
Well,
thank you for being open about that, man. I mean, I appreciate that because I mean, I think it's very important for people to be who they are, and so I do appreciate that. We appreciate that. So thank you for sharing.
When I read, so one of the poems in the book that Brandon had sent us was The Birth of the Neon Hollywood Cowboy. And so this is what I was talking about, because obviously I didn't want to overshare whatever the comfortability of where you're at. Like I want to go as deep as we can with it, because like this show, we have found what we started off with doing, like, you know, fart jokes and like burps. Like we've had guests and the opportunities to like have real conversations with people about different aspects of life. And it's one of the things that I love most about this show is like, we'll all still laugh about a fart, so to speak. Absolutely. But like the fact that we've been able to have, you know, with females in our industry, some of the struggles that they are encountering, past and present, with like, you know, being victimized or not like valued in what they do. It's been cool because I've been feeling like we can be a part of something in this show in our own weird way of just hearing what people have to say and where they come from. And I read that poem and I was like, that's a cool poem. And I was like, it's kind of like, okay, the ideal man, but then you have this mixture of like femininity mixed in with like the poppies and like this. So I read this poem and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like it's kind of like encapsulating this very, very cool visualistic like perception of what a man is, right? And then, or the ideal, right? The cowboy on the horse, the Marlboro man, the whatever it might be. And so that's kind of how I interpreted it. And then when Brandon was sharing some of your story with me, I was like, oh shit, that means so much more. Like, because like I'm seeing it from the perspective of your writing, or like what you may or may not have encountered in your life that was just who you are, but the perception of like, you know, is this person manly enough, or do they fit into the ideal, you know, perception of what that is? And I don't know if that's what you're trying to communicate, but for me reading it, I was like, it became powerful on a different level. Like, you know what I mean? Not just words, like describing something, but really give a picture to what I think all of us like,
deal with. Yeah,
right?
it's a perspective on humanity, right? I mean, we're all the same. Doesn't matter what we are. We're all the fucking same. It's just all about how we give our creative outputs.
Well,
you know,
we're all the same, but yet we're taught as men, like, you don't cry. We're taught as men, you don't do these things. Like, you know, the word toxic masculinity, right? Like, there are perceptions that we were actually raised to do because that's the perception of what a man is, right? And like, how cool, like, or how impactful, cool seems lighthearted, but impactful it is in the work, you know, like this poem is, or what I look forward to when I receive the book, because I got one today. I pre-ordered it.
Thank you.
Like, because I loved the work, but it's just like, I want to hear, you know, your voice and what your thoughts are on the matter, because they're different than my experiences. You know, like, it's that simple. I mean, I was born with a beard and being 6'1" and everyone thinking I'm a Viking. That looks pretty manly. But like, when I was talking to Brandon today, I was like, what's crazy is, like, I spend half my time, maybe not realistically half time, but this is also wording a question for you, but also as an encouragement and a praise to what you're doing. So much of the time I spend trying to think, how can I be more in touch feminine, like with my feminine side, because like, there's this, like, we're supposed to be this, but maybe I'm not this, maybe I'm this, but I look like this, but maybe I'm this.
And it's okay.
You know?
It's cool.
Right. But it's coming to terms, right? Like, and being proud of whatever that is, of what we are in expression, the way we dress, right? And everything we do. And I'm kind of curious how you deal with certain aspects, like the struggles of it, or is that why writing is so important to you, because it gives a voice beyond conversations you can have on a one-on-one basis? Or is it, like, maybe you could expound on that?
It's a good question. A lot to unpack.
Sorry, by the way.
I mean, no, you're good. It's totally good. I'm fine with it. I've been calling this book like a diary lately, because it's kind of what it is. I wrote it. Most of the poems stem from, like, immediately after getting the diagnosis, and then they've just been worked and reworked for almost 3 full years. But yeah, I think that not enough. I don't think a lot of poets are focusing on deconstructing masculinity like maybe more people should. I think that the typical stuff is happening where they're trying to reckon with themselves, and maybe at times when they've been a little toxic. But I think everybody has delved into the toxic pool just a little bit. I mean, it's just how it is. We're human. We're not perfect. But when you're trying to sort of deconstruct masculinity, you don't have to be overly feminine about it. You don't have to necessarily cling to feminine things. It's more or less letting go a little bit of your stronghold on the really masculine things that are pushed by society. I don't think it's more of you have to adopt feminine things because feminine things will just come to you naturally. I think that there's a lot of feminine things going on around us that we absorb anyways, and we're not even realizing it. And so maybe just letting ourselves have that, like letting ourselves go into that naturally is the best way to sort of not have to deal with masculinity as hard as we always have been.
I agree with you, and I think we should do a shot here real quick. But before we do, so I have a very interesting kind of retrospect on what you said. So I was sort of classically trained on wine, and when I was in wine school, we've always talked about masculine flavors and scents versus feminine flavors and scents. And I think that general idea is relevant, right? So like when I drink a Pinot Noir, it's got a very feminine aroma, but not in the idea that most would think. What we call a feminine aroma is like floral and bright and sort of like that very light kind of touch, right? And then when you talk about like Bordeaux's and Cabernets, it's a very mineral, leather, tobacco kind of thing. And I think we use those terms to sort of encompass what generally people think of as masculine and feminine aromas and flavors. And I think the same could be said with any sort of artistic creation, is like, where does that masculine, feminine kind of thing go when they kind of all meld together, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Shot? Anyone?
If I want to say this right before we do a shot, that there is something that Brandon is also a poet, as you all know, and he has a self-published book. And because like of the poetry theme of tonight, I also wanted to, I had my daughter who's been reading Brandon's book say a few words, and I think it'll be rad to show that like after our shot, just, you know, to go with the theme of tonight.
Yeah, the review.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Shot number 4.
Cheers. Matt, do you not drink?
I do not. I'm kind of the antithesis of the show.
No, you're not. We've had many people on who do not smoke or do not. There's no requirement, and that's totally cool.
But we do.
Brandon, do you have? Do you want to set this up anyway, or?
Let's talk about.
Now it's time for book reports from Jeremy.
So I thought we'd get a review of Brandon's book of poetry. So I've asked my daughter to read it. Let's go see what she thought. All right, let's go find out. Hey, Penny. What do you think of Brandon's book of poetry?
This is shit.
Oh,
that's so good.
I sent that to him today. It's like you want it to be a surprise, but I was like, bro, you got to use this. My daughter is huge into poetry, and she loved the 3 poems that you had sent that Brandon showed us from your work, by the way. And she actually very much enjoys Brandon too. But she was like, I don't want to say that, it's mean. And I was like, do it. It'll be funny. But
maybe laugh.
Well, maybe you could share. Well, thank you, Melissa. I appreciate it very much. Where does it go from here? Like, you know, for you with like, you have the book, it's about to debut. When is it actually released?
April. I think we're shooting for April 14th. Maybe it's on the site. 14th. But it'll get it for anybody who pre-ordered. It'll get to you in March, probably. Officially, It comes out the 14th of April.
So, what's your next? What's your next work, or what do you want to do? Like, what happens after you release a book? I have no idea.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm working on the next one already, but it's a direct sequel to this book. I very much treat this book as a movie, kind of, and a movie's got to have a sequel, and there's a lot left to say. I'm kind of getting into that age in my life where I'm thinking about marriage and I'm thinking about having kids. I'm thinking about what all of this going on in my body means for that. So, I mean, got a lot of stuff to decompact. My family's Appalachian. My dad's side comes from more central West Virginia. And so I get a lot of the masculine overtones in my everyday life from my father's side of the family. So I'm trying to interrogate that history, that family lineage a little bit in this next book, alongside the idea of what does that mean for me having kids.
That sounds fun for me to read.
Yeah.
It sounds maybe emotional for you, but also fun for me to read. So I'm excited about
It's fun to write. It's fun to write. I tell you, I'm enjoying it because you kind of get to, obviously, when you dive into the old memories of going down to West Virginia and visiting for a weekend, there's always sad stuff that goes on, but there's also a lot of fun shit that happened that I get to write about now, which is also just sick. I'm just really, it's fun. I'm going all the way back into memories that I've kind of not really suppressed, but haven't thought about in a long time. And it's kind of liberating, but also it's fun.
Is when you write something about a specific memory, do you find that it kind of like, whether it's like a hard thing to conjure up or like a sad memory, do you find that it, like when you write it, it's like your it's therapeutic to you, like it releases you from that? Or do you like how does that work for you?
When I was writing the book, it was, but this book beat the shit out of me mentally. I think that because I was using the poems as a way of talking through my shit. And then once it was over, I was like, I can't keep doing this. I got to talk to actual people about my problems, because before I was writing the book, I was going to therapy about this, because, you know, the Cleveland Clinic was like, we should probably send you to a psychologist to go through this, and then quit going. And so I was using the book as sort of my method of venting. But now I'm like, I'm writing the next book with a clear head and trying to process what I'm feeling before I write. And so the things that I'm writing right now, they have a much different feeling than they would if I just wrote them without first letting some shit out. Yeah. So it's,
well, man,
we're talking about growth.
It's been an awesome hour. It's been a very short hour, actually, talking to you, and that's kind of cool. But we have to close out the show.
Well, before you do, I need Matt and Brandon on here together, because like if I'm talking amongst two published poets, I need their help on something.
Do it.
Oh shit! What are we getting called in for here? Fuck.
So what I want you to do is critique this masterpiece of poetry that I have written.
Oh my god!
Be as critical as you so choose. It is
rough.
short. I'm just going to read it to you, and I want your honest to goodness. Let's do this, and then I'll. Shallow love, shallow life, life with no love. Is love a kiddie pool? Drowning. Wait, no. Tis too shallow to call home. Life within her. She is actually he. What even is life when love is cannibal?
Wow.
Hold on, wait. Too good.
Dude, that's as existential as you've ever been.
Well, okay. I'm going to give you context to this.
Oh, that's my favorite part.
This is actually something Penny wrote in 8th grade.
The girl who reviewed my book, huh? Man, I should give her a similar rating.
When she read it, I was like, that is the shittiest poem I've ever heard. Can I take it on the show and like talk about it? Because like it's like,
oh my god,
there's a certain aspect of poetry, right? Like people will use words to sound dramatic, and like there's, to me, well, I'll let you critique it, but like to me, it's like all words and no depth with a bunch of flowery things.
This is dangerous. This is dangerous territory, Matt. You know it is.
I mean, I have nothing but good things to say about it.
Okay,
you're so much nicer and more generous than me.
Well, but Jeremy, the way it was read reminded me of the slam poem that Jonah Hill reads in 22 Jump Street, For that, it's a fantastic poem.
Oh my God, that scene is. Listen, Matt. That brings up a question that we skipped over. That I want to bring up two things. Since you brought me on, Jeremy, there's two things I want to talk about before we close out real quick. Which is, I had written a question in here we jumped over, which is, do you think poetry gets a bad rap in modern pop culture, like in movies and stuff? Because that scene, it makes me cringe, but I also can't look away.
I don't know if it gets a bad rap. It gets some kind of rap. Not sure if it's good or bad yet. I mean, like, traditionally, poems and movies are kind of like serial killers using this to fuck with the police, or it's a love letter and, you know, romance is involved. But I don't know. It's usually mediocre in film. But I will say, and it kind of goes along with, I think it was Joe's question. I think Amanda Gorman's performance last week at the inauguration has already.
That was the other thing I wanted you to talk about. That was the other thing I wanted you to talk about. He wanted to ask about what you thought about Amanda Gorman.
I thought she was awesome. And I think that it's a testament. I think she went from like 4,000 Twitter followers to 1 million in like 2 days, which is fucking incredible. I wish I had that. That's insane.
We'll get you at the next inauguration, bro. We have hookups.
Gotta have it. Yep. But like, no, I think Amanda's performance. I think her performance has already opened a lot of people back up to poetry in maybe a way that's not comedic, like films tend to use it as. So, I think she's a bright spot for sure.
Yeah, I watched the inauguration, and I was on my lunch break when she was reading her poem, and Matt could tell you, see, you guys are deep into the cigar social media, cigar Instagram. Yeah. Oh, hey, Tony, you are running for office this year. Matt could be your poet laureate. He could be your poet laureate.
Yeah, I'm gonna win. It's no doubt.
When you get inaugurated as the president of the Youngstown Water District, you can have Matt read.
Yeah, I mean, look at what I got going for me. I'm drunk. I'm a white guy. That's it. That's all you really need. That's what you need to be a politician, right? You need to be a drunk white guy. That's it.
I guess that is the case. But yeah, I thought her poem was amazing. But Matt could tell you, you'd be surprised at the backlash and the kind of negativity that hit on social media about her poem.
Really?
And dude, you guys don't. Matt and I could spend another hour telling you about like lit Twitter, like poetry Twitter. It's a dark place sometimes. It is not all welcoming and warm and fuzzy sometimes.
It's awful. Yeah, like there was like 35-year-old poets calling her work messy, and I'm like, yeah, but she just read for like millions of people. So
she's 22 years old.
Yeah, she's my age. It's fucking. It's it's.
You know what's so fucked up is like just let people do their thing. Like let them be creative. I fucking hate when people like restrict people from like freedom. I just don't like that at all.
And let me add too, when I say like to me this is a shitty poem that I read, it's because she sent it like she was writing it to be extreme in the context. Like she's a beautiful writer. Like she writes really, really cool poetry. And like that's her realm. Like that she like spends most of her time doing. But the thing is like to me there's a cliche kind of like my mom is a writer and she does short stories and poetry and it's and published, but she writes very, very flowery, very, very heavy imagery of religious like icons and things like that. It's very palatable to like a specific community of people. I look at it and I'm just like, I want to throw up. But she is good at writing. But it's more so what she's saying that I get kind of like, yeah, like, you know, we all cringe at certain things, right? She's a good writer, but she appeals to the 65-year-old white woman in the evangelical church. Like,
it's very narrow. That's a niche group. That's very.
Those are the ones that spend the money. I mean,
it's the chicken soup for the soul, people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
love, laugh.
Yeah. And like there is a place for it. So like, you know, like, hey man, she has like written for years and it was never her primary source of income, but she has made money and she's published in books. She's actually in one of the Chicken Soup for the Soul books.
Oh my God.
Like, I mean, like,
Penny is?
No, my mom.
Tony, so
does she get like royalties for this?
Yeah, she gets paid for it, but I mean, like, she's not the author. That's a collection of different stories.
I know, but I mean, your mom better be getting some fucking cash.
Getting some cheddar.
Getting some fucking Parmesan for that.
I'm going to call her and be like, Tony says you need to be getting some Parmesan for that.
Parmesan.
Tony wants to represent you. Tony wants to make sure you have... wants to make sure your mom has representation.
Yeah, your mom better be getting some fucking...
Should we call my mom one time on this show and then like try to and tell her?
Yeah, I'm going to tell your mom she needs some Gouda.
She's 75 years old. Let's do it sometime.
Yeah, she needs Gouda for this.
She needs Gouda.
Oh my God.
You know, like...
Jeez.
You entered into a shit show.
Man, this is why we try. This is why we try to wrap it up at the hour mark. We try to.
There it is. There's your mom's money. There's your mom's money.
My mom's gonna get sponsored from Kraft Parmesan.
Hi, kids.
Oh my gosh. So. This is why we try to wrap this show at about an hour, because if we get going beyond this point, chaos just ensues. For those of you who are just listening to the audio on your phone or whatever, my kids just walked into the background holding a little plastic bottle of Parmesan cheese. So
yeah, that's what Jeremy's mom needs.
Yeah, Joe Sharmer says she's our next guest, but that is not happening.
I like
Matt needs Parmesan, Brandon needs Gouda, Jeremy needs cheddar, and I need some blue.
All I want to say is this. I am Abby's favorite.
Yes, my daughter, Abby, you're her favorite. I guess I'm not even my own daughter's favorite on the show. But let's try to land this. Let's try to land this thing. We do have a guest for next week, I think, if Tony and Jeremy have reached out to him. And it should be a pretty awesome guest for our season finale next Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. Matt, I can tell you this: we did an interview for the magazine that I volunteer for, Baron Magazine, and I can tell you that most of your interviews will probably be like that, and they will most likely not be like this.
No, I know that, but I mean. I don't even know what's going on with our interview. Did you see the email?
Yeah, so I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but Matt and I found out jointly yesterday that an interview that we recorded for that magazine, the video footage got lost. So it looks like it's going to come out as an audio-only format. It's just... That was super disappointing because I thought we had a really great conversation. I don't know. I have my questions about that whole situation, about what happened.
We still got the audio though, so it's not a total loss.
Not a total loss. That's right. Tony, where can everybody find you online? Let's bring this for a landing. Where can people find you, my friend?
Everybody can find me at Four Shots Show, which is a shared thing for all of us. But for me, at Bellotto, at La Barba Cigars, at Lost and Found Cigars, at Youngstown Coffee Company, at Havana House Niles.
It's always funny when he starts listening.
You can find him anywhere. If you turn around and you see some Parmesan on the ground, there's Tony right next to it.
Find me at Cheddar
Bellotto.
Yeah. Jeremy, you're up.
God, I love following you up because I have one thing.
What? Well, that's why it's always funny.
Instagram, the California Hillbilly. That's it. That's it.
Hey, Jennifer Sims in the chat says she also got her coffee. That's awesome. We're glad you got it, Jennifer.
I have a shot to do.
Oh, let's do a shot. Here we go.
Make sure as well to give a plug to his book and say it as many times as
we're gonna get it. He's next. We'll do a shot and then we'll let him do his plugs. Here we go.
All right.
Shot number 5.
Oh.
Salute.
So, yes, Matt, can you tell us where can people find your work online? And then I'm going to bring up the pre-order site for your book one more time.
Well, my website that's brand new has a lot of weird characters, so it's not ready yet. But if you go to biglux.com/store/Matt Mitchell, you can find my book. I'm on Twitter, Matt_Mitchell48, and I tweet a lot of dumb shit, but that's where my poems get some press at. So if you want to keep up with those, that's where you can find me.
Hey, I might also say, so I don't know if something went wrong, but I bought the book, the pre-order, and I haven't gotten any confirmation, and it's been like 7 hours. Like I bought it, I followed your Instagram link where it takes you to Big Lux, and then I like went and put it in the cart, checked out, and I was like, oh, there's nothing there, and maybe that's okay, but I just was. Please, people, go buy this book. It is I've only read 3 poems, but they're awesome. Support our friend. Support him just because it's good enough to be supported. It's good shit. So, like, enjoy it.
Yeah, I'll put the.
It is
go
good
ahead.
shit.
It is. I'm going to put the link. I'm going to put the link. I put it in a couple times in the chat, so you guys can find. Just click the link. Here, it's right there, biglux.com/store/Matt-Mitchell. And Will Marxis says, Tony, where's my coffee? And Joe Sharmer, I appreciate you once again. No love for Will. We will be here.
Will, you don't drink coffee.
We will be here next Tuesday night at 8 o'clock for our season finale of season 2. Man, if you guys saw what I have in store for season 3, I showed it to Tony and Jeremy the other night. Season 3 is gonna
change your life.
There's gonna be 4 people that watch this show next season.
So season 3 is gonna be like a fever dream compared to seasons 1 and 2. But Matt, if you come out with more stuff in the future, we would love to have you back on. Thanks for coming on the show tonight, brother.
Yeah, I'd love to come back. Thanks for having me. It was a blast.
Thank you for being a part of the shit show.
Of course. It's the only show to be a part of.
Right? Well, I hope you got to say what you wanted to say.
Absolutely.
Sorry I talked way too much.
No, I appreciate it. It takes the pressure off me a little bit if I'm not the one talking the whole time.
Yeah, sometimes you get on a train of thought and you just like go, and then you're like, shit, this isn't about me. I'm supposed to shut up. And like, I'm learning how to interview. We all are. So thanks for like, being cool with us.
You did great.
We'll see you next week, Tuesday night
man.
at 8 o'clock.
Jesus Christ.